I'm doing
ready
great.
to kick some butt, take some names, or my favorite guy, Roddy Piper, chew bubblegum, kick ass, but I'm all out of bubblegum.
Oh, man. So what do you hope to accomplish tonight?
Plain and simple, dirty deeds. I love you guys. We're brothers, but I hate to break it to you. You guys ain't walking out of here. Us OGs, we're the original gangsters in this place. That's why you see Spider and Nuke on that wall. That's why you see Dickie Rods. Because we're the originals. We're the creators of this place. Without us, this place wouldn't be what it is today. And tonight, we're going to the top again.
All right, I want to get your quick thoughts on NYWC being called NYWE.
Don't listen to Vico. Vico has a lot of talk and a lot of thoughts. He may want to bring this to his direction, but it doesn't matter. We're the ones in charge. The wrestlers. We're the ones who are in this ring killing ourselves. We're the ones putting our bodies on the line. I don't care what he has to say. This is NYWC for life.
July 12th. July 12th. Amity LeVay is taking on Abaddon, the one and the only. Now this is happening at NYWC Presents Rising Stars Women's Wrestling. You don't want to miss it. We're warning you. You don't want to miss it!
Amity, Amity, on the wall. Your facade soon shall fall. Come July 12th, step in the ring. If you have any gall. At Rising Star, I will bury you and seize it all.
Yo, they call me Dank, the lyrical titan. Stepping in the ring, spitting fire, igniting. From the square circle to the booth, I'm dominant. Unbreakable spirit, call me the king, I'm prominent. Beyond the barricade, the podcast bumping. Real talk, no gimmicks, ain't no time for slumping. Grinding day and night, always something to prove. Elevating the game, that's the Dank move. Mic check 1, 2, this ain't no illusion. Dropping truth bombs, causing a commotion. From the canvas to the charts, I'm climbing. Champion mindset, always shining. Resolute, run deep, instilled the fight. Never back down, always standing upright. In the ring or on the track, same intensity. Delivering knockout blows lyrically. 1, 2, this ain't no illusion. Dropping truth bombs, causing a commotion. From the canvas to the charts, I'm climbing. Champion mindset, always shining.
Welcome to Beyond the Barricade. I'm your host, Papa Dank, and this Saturday night will be one of the greatest shows ever right here in Long Island, New York. Rising Stars Women's Wrestling. And if you haven't gotten your tickets, you better go get them at nywcprowrestling.com right now. But right now, I have the general manager on for the Saturday show. Let me bring to you the one, the only Mercedes Martinez.
Hello, what's going on?
Hi, Mercedes. Welcome to the show. And, man, so glad you're a part of Rising Stars Women's Wrestling this Saturday.
Thank you. I'm excited for it. I hope everyone's excited for it. I hope we have a really good turnout so everyone can see all the female wrestlers in the area.
Yes.
I think it's an exciting opportunity for everyone to see new and upcoming female stars that are in this business right now.
That's right, 100%. Let's put up the poster real quick before we go into the questions. We got quite huge town. There are a couple of faces that have changed in the when this was made, but overall, it's going to be a fantastic show this Saturday night. All right.
Yeah, definitely going to be excited. I hope people do turn out to this. It's a great card. It's a great chance to, like I said, it's a great chance for everyone to see new and upcoming faces in women's wrestling and just have a good time. That's really what it all comes down to. And just some athleticism and some kick-ass wrestling.
That's right, 100%. All right, let's start with what got you interested in wrestling?
You know what? It's I always tell this story. It's I never wanted to be a professional wrestler. It just kind of fell in my lap. I've always watched wrestling, as most of us have, as a fan, and watched it when I was small with my uncle, my brothers, my cousins. Do that backyard play wrestling, making cardboard championship titles and stuff. But it just so happened that wrestling kind of landed in my lap when I was pretty much rehabbing an injury for basketball in college, and it just kind of took off from there. So that's really how I got started. It wasn't anything, magical. It was just something, hey, here, it fell in your lap, let's see what happens, and here I am almost 25 years later still doing it.
Right. That's awesome. All right, let's go to question number two. When you first started, how hard was it for a woman wrestler to break into the business?
You got to think about the time that I started. I started wrestling when I was 19, turning 20. So that was about 2000. At that time, wrestling was more in that TNA area, the sex appeal, the valets, the managers. They
Right.
didn't take women's wrestling really seriously at that time. So for me to get into the business, it was kind of a little difficult. It was always trying to break that stigma of, where do I fit in? My trainer was always the one who said, you don't fit in anywhere. You never do. You have a different character, you have a different look. You don't want to be that sex appeal like everyone else is.
Mhm.
He really molded me to become a wrestler and stand out from the rest. And to do that, we had to really break that mold and show everyone how athleticism and how athletic I truly was. And he brought in people, to help me, like Angel Orsini, who was
Mhm.
Riptide in ECW. Jazz came down a couple of times to help me out as well, who I
Mhm.
love and admire, and really is a role model for, women's wrestling. And, I wrestled Lexi Fife, Malaya Hosaka, even Lulan Bashan. Names of names that you can think of to help me break that mode and really get into that groove of breaking the stigma of what women's wrestling was at that time. When I was wrestling from promotions, there was no women's wrestlers. I had to wrestle, Velvet Sky, who was, training with me as well. Her trainer's Jason Knight, and we
Right.
constantly wrestled around everywhere, constantly just the same people over and over again because we wanted to break that mode. Everyone goes their separate ways. Everyone tends to want to do things their way to get to the top in women's wrestling, but I wanted
Right.
to break and shake the foundation. So to do that was really, really hard. And I eventually, for the first probably 2 years of my career, I just wrestled men. It was just easier that way to become the baby face. It was easier that way to show them that I can hang with guys and show them a different style of women's wrestling that they're not used to. Did it hurt my career a little bit? I don't think so. Not in the beginning. I
I
think
think
as the years came, it hurt a little bit because everyone was doing still the TNA and everyone still wanted to be the ballets and the managers. And I just had to keep pushing forward. So it was difficult in the beginning, but I had really good trainers. I had really good mentors who guided me down the right path. And no matter how hard it got, I had to persevere and show them that, this is what women's wrestling truly is. And, companies like Shimmer, Shine, even Rise and WSU, Triple W, back in the day, these companies promoted women's athleticism, not just women's wrestling, but just us in our athletic prowess, as I like
uh-huh.
to say. So it was hard, but I think that I hope that I was, how do I say, I hope that I was able to break that mold and help other females, if you look at it now, to really be themselves. And that's really what it comes down to, just being yourself and not fitting into the mold that everybody else wants you to be.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, how do you think the business has evolved? What are some of the positive and negatives you've seen nowadays?
Oh man, it has its ups and downs. I think going on 25 years in this business, it does this a lot.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does. If you think about it, with
Yeah.
me in 2000, it was like I said, it was that diva era, that TNA era of sex appeal ballets, and then it kind of just it kind of, I think the fans wanted more. When you start breaking ground and the fans kind of want more, and then companies on mainstream like WWE and they kind of just listen to the fans for once,
Yeah.
and they started promoting women's wrestling as wrestlers, and that's all we ever want. We want it to be treated equal, And I think now that's all you see. You know, we still have a lot to work to do. I think, you know, I would like to see more women companies out there. I think it's great that, you know, Rising Stars is a new company and it's giving women's wrestling an opportunity to shine on its own. I think a lot of companies now are, you know, not just doing the standard of one women's match, because we're not an attraction anymore. We're the main
Right.
event. Like
Yes.
we are it, you know, and I think that having more than one women's matches on a card is great, because there's such a plethora. There's so many characters and so much talent that having one or two matches of women's wrestling is not great anymore. You need to have an equal amount of men's matches and women's matches on a card to really balance things out, because sometimes the women's matches are way better than the men's matches. And you know that just from
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
things.
you're not lying. That's the truth.
And I think,
100%.
you know, I think companies have to really tap into that. You know, it's not just a men's wrestling world anymore. It's women's wrestling world, and we have to be able to be treated equal and fairly at that, and that's across the board.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things that I think we still need to work on. You know, as many women's wrestling companies that I have worked for, some last really a long time, like Shimmer, Shine, you know, WSU lasted for a while.
Right.
You know, Rise, I'm hoping that would last for a while. Rising Star, sorry. And you know, any other company that wants to promote and really put women's wrestling on top, we have to have the support and, you know, the support in it of our fans, but support of everybody else to really help us, because we don't last very long when it comes to women's companies. And I don't know if it's the fans not really being rallying behind us. I know
Right.
it's money issues, and I'm not sure, but they don't last very long as they used to. You know, they come and they go, and I see it all the time. A new women's company starts up and then it kind of dies within a year, and I'm not sure why. You know, the talent is there. Yes, there's a lot of new female talents, but for them to grow and for them to get the experience, they need companies like this so they can get the experience of different women wrestlers from all over the world. And, you know, it's not fair. And it's that old adage that back in the day, we had to pay our way. And, you know, we had to pay our dues, and we had to travel all over the world and stuff like that, and fly and use your own money. And I get it. It's how it is again, you know, but I think that if you can use sponsors now, you can have someone sponsor matches, you can have people sponsor wrestlers to see them on these shows. And I think that's a great way to go, as long as, you know, it's respectful and as long as it's business related. And you know, that's one of the negative sides right now of women's wrestling, is that there's just not enough places for women wrestlers to be up in front. Like I said, most companies have one or two matches, and if you have a 10-match card and only two matches are females, it kind of defeats the purpose of women's wrestling on to go up higher.
Right.
On the positive side, we are getting more headlines, right? We are becoming main eventers now on across all platforms on
Yeah.
major TV.
Right.
We are getting the respect and the recognition that we need and we want, that we earned. We really did earn. Like, we broke this foundation, you know, back 20 years ago, and even before that, we kept breaking the foundation of what women's wrestling is. And someone like me, I believe that I truly believe that I helped break that foundation and rebuild it to what it is today. I'm one of many female wrestlers that are still around, you know, 20 years later, that is still trying to push that envelope and say, hey, women's wrestling is the thing. Like, get on this and stop dogging us. So
Get on board.
there's positives, yeah, there's positives and there's negatives, and it's always going to be like that. Like I said, women's wrestling does this all the time. It has its high and it'll go really good, and then it'll just dip back, and we're like, what happened? So, you know, it starts on the indie level, to be honest. I think when the indies, when you can push the females and you can really make them stars and you can really give them respect and a fair play at what we do, that's when the mainstream notices. But it really starts on the indies, because I'm an indie worker. I've been an indie worker for 20 years before WWE signed me. And, you know, that's where I honed my craft. That's where I got my experience. And, you know, I would have never made my name if it wasn't for the indies, because people and companies took a chance on me. And I think every female needs that. They need the indies to learn and to really appreciate it,
Right.
when they get to the main spotlight. So, like I said, it does this a lot, and it has its positives and negatives. And, I think we can still improve. And the one thing that I think that we should do is have just an all female cast of a wrestling company, down to the owner, the promoter, the camera, the photographer, the wrestlers, like the works. There's an all female cast. No males allowed. No males allowed.
I hear you. I mean, well, Rising Stars has you as the producer and the general manager as well. So we're lucky. We're lucky to have you for sure. So how do you feel being part of this particular promotion and giving back to the next generation?
You know what? It's exciting. I think when I got the call to be a part of something, it brought me back to the days where I helped WSU, and then and Shimmer, and then all these companies that I worked for. It's me giving back. It's always giving back and teaching. Teaching this new generation, of what I learned and what got me to where I am.
Right.
I was brought up in a different time than they were, so it's also me learning what works now. It's that old school and new school mentality, blending the both to make sure that people understand and females understand that longevity is the key. I wouldn't be here 25 years later if I didn't understand longevity. And I
Right.
think, Rising Stars has this big opportunity to help mold the new generation, and help make new stars, or even get new people, get fans to learn new females that are out there. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be a part of it. I'm excited to teach. I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to help this new generation, and looking forward to seeing brand new females that I've never even heard of until now.
Right.
Watch them grow and give them feedback, and just hopefully that people understand that this is a company that is going to be above and beyond some of the other companies if people support us. It really
Yeah.
comes down to people supporting women's wrestling, and
Right.
being behind us. That's all it is. So I'm really excited to not only just produce and agent and help, but also promote, and really just be an advocate for women's wrestling, because we all need help when it comes to women's wrestling, and put it in the forefront where it belongs.
Right. Awesome. All right. What is your favorite snack on the go, Mercedes? What do you like to snack when you're rushing around doing all your great things that you're doing?
I am a junk food foodie. Like I not even junk food, just candy.
Uh,
I have sugar cravings like there is no tomorrow. My go-to would be like Starburst,
okay.
Twizzlers, and Mike and Ike's, like the
Okay.
fruity kind, the fruity
Okay.
blast, not
All
the
right.
original, the one
I
that
lo-
comes in the blue box.
I'm a, I'm a Twizzler guy. I love Twizzlers. So David, make sure we have Starburst and Twizzlers and everything
Yeah,
Mercedes
put it
needs.
in
All
a
right.
little box, put it in a little basket. But like, this is for Mercedes only.
Right. All right.
I'm
Last
going.
question. You ready?
Yes.
What match are you looking forward to this Saturday night at Rising Stars?
I knew you were gonna ask that question. It's there's three matches that I'm looking forward to, and there's three different criteria as to why. Okay,
Okay.
Amity and Abaddon. The reason for that match is because it's a character-driven match. It
Nice.
really is. If you look at that match on paper, it's character-wise, it's the storyline. It's like, yes, it's wrestling, but this is where like this is Hollywood.
This is Hollywood.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I see that match going, and I think both of them can deliver on their characters, because that's what their characters about. So wrestling has this thing of, you can have wrestlers, you can have characters. Women's wrestling is anything and everything you want it to be, and I think that's one of the matches that it's very character driven, based on who Abaddon and Amity is. And I've never seen Amity ever before, so this is a great time for me to watch her, and see what she has against someone like Abaddon. I'm also interested in Aaliyah James and Layla Hirsch.
Okay.
Aaliyah is a top rising star. I've watched her, for a little while, especially back in the UK.
Right.
I've had a chance to reconnect with her here in Shine in Florida. So I think she has all the
Okay.
tools, and she's hungry. She's hungry. She's hungry to learn. She's hungry to rise. And Layla's been around a long time. Layla's an amateur wrestler, looking to, get back on that indie track. And I think this is going to be one of those matches that Layla is gonna show everyone who she really is, and Layla's got to be the one to stop her in her tracks and show who she truly really is, and make people remember who Layla Hirsch is.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so I think that's a great match to watch, just based on new and old, right? Like you have a newcomer
Okay.
and then someone who's made their name already.
Okay.
So that's exciting to watch. But I'm also excited to watch Mimi and Tina San
Tina San
Antonio that
Antonio.
was released today.
Yeah.
That's
She'll,
a yeah.
she'll be on later
Oh,
tonight.
that should be on later on tonight. Tina
Uh,
San Antonio.
yeah.
The reason why I'm looking forward to that match is because Tina has a lot to prove. I think Mimi is a rising star, on the top of the indies right now. She's doing her thing, but I think
Yeah.
Tina, has a veteran in this business, someone that I've known for a very, very, very long time who's, took a hiatus and then came back with a vengeance. I
Yeah.
think she's here to prove that, age ain't nothing but a number, that, us veterans here, especially someone like me, we always got something to prove. Like we don't think we're better than anybody else. And we're here to make sure that we're going to showcase ourselves as well as whoever's in front of us, but we're here to dominate and we're here to prove that we can shine just like the rest, no matter how long we've been in this business. So that's a match that I'm looking very forward to. New school versus old school. So those are the three matches that I'm watching.
Awesome.
Looking forward to looking at and giving feedback as well.
Yeah.
Not just as a fan, but as an agent and producer. I'm like,
Right.
it's
Now, just announced today, Mercedes, Lorena takes on the Nomi, Gabby Forza today. Make sure you get your tickets, NYWC Pro Wrestling. I'm looking forward to that match as well.
Yeah, it's great because I know it was Gabby Ortiz at first, and I
Yeah.
was kind of looking forward to, but now it's two people. I'm not a big, I don't know Lulu, and I've heard of Nomi,
Nomi?
so it's one of those matches that I'm going to look at and be like, all right, these are two newcomers for me.
Right.
So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what they can bring to the table, and just for me watching their characters, watching what they can do, and it's something exciting, and I hope the fans get behind them, regardless if they're baby faces or heels or whatever. It's just be
Right.
behind them and just enjoy the match. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, me too, 100%. All right, this Saturday, Rising Stars Women's Wrestling debuts. The meet and greet's at 5 o'clock, and the bell time's at 7. Front row is only $40, and general admission's at 25. Get your tickets now. NYWC Pro Wrestling. Mercedes, let everybody know where they can follow you.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Real M Martinez. You can also follow me on Facebook. Just look for Mercedes Martinez as well. That's all the social media I have.
Okay.
I'm more on Instagram, so you can always just follow me on there. We're promoting right now, really
Nice.
promoting hard our docu-series. I hope you guys, Tina San Antonio is part of that. It kind of dives into women's wrestling and life, in my career for the last, 20 plus years, as well as Marty Bell and Allison Kay. That's something that we're promoting really heavily, as well as right now we're promoting heavily Rising Star Women's Wrestling for this Saturday. So just look me up, follow all the social media, follow Rising Stars Women's Wrestling, and just support us, support women's wrestling. That's all we can ask for.
Awesome. Where can we see the docuseries?
Right now, the docu-series, we're just waiting to see the release. So right
No,
now, we're just putting out reels. So if you look on my Instagram,
you have all the reels.
you'll see all those reels. And, we have people like Regal, who's been, did interviews, Serena Deeb, Dustin Rhodes. We've had Eddie Kingston. We've had who's
Awesome.
who did interviews for this docu-series because it's a women's wrestling related docu-series. It's not just about me, Tina San Antonio, Marty, or Allison. It's about women's wrestling in general. And it's just the lives of four female wrestlers and what we have to deal with in different paths, because we all have different paths. So it's a really cool docu-series, and we're just hoping that it gets traction enough. So share it, watch it, so we can get on a Prime Network, and we'll have some news hopefully soon. Once I know, you'll see it on
We'll all
my.
know.
Yeah, everybody will know once we know. But until then, I want to try to keep the focus on Rising Stars. Everyone, please
Yes.
come out,
Come
support
out.
women's wrestling, support these girls. Support a brand new women's company that is putting women's wrestling in the forefront. That's all we want to do, especially in Long Island, where we need something like
That's right.
this. And just back us up, everyone. Just back us up.
100%. Back us up. Rising Stars Women's Wrestling this Saturday. Get your tickets. Don't miss out. Mercedes, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you coming on. I'm so looking forward to meeting you on Saturday. Hold on for a minute, everybody else. I'll be back at 9 o'clock with Tina San Antonio.